All right, let's get this shit popping. So, here with my boy Twale, Draco. He's
Yo, yo.
too much of a punk, probably working or some shit. You know, he can't be part of this one. But yeah, we're about to do the top three characters we're most looking forward to getting fleshed out. And this is like I just told Twale before we started. This isn't necessarily like if you want to see someone like Sukin just get a crazy amount of development. Like we know that's not gonna happen. So it's more like realistic in that sense. But yeah, basically just the characters that you see are likely to get at least intriguing development, and you're just really looking forward to it because of personal preference or whatever the case is. But yeah, so that being
Alright.
said, I'm not really sure what Twale's list is, but he knows mine. But yeah, I'll just start off. So first
Oh
up
wait,
on the
before you
list,
start,
go ahead.
are we going from like 3 to 1, or are we
Yeah,
going
yeah,
1 to 3?
3 to 1, 3 to 1.
All right, copy.
All right, so first on my list, I'm gonna go with the God Shibasho himself. This is a character that I know a lot of people are looking forward to, and I'm not sure if it's because they're interested in his character or if they just think he's gonna be a beast. Maybe a mixture of both, but from what I've seen, it's mainly because they think he's gonna be a monster, which is fine. Like that's definitely part of it. You know, he does seem like he's gonna be strong as fuck, and then story scaling, like he's later in the story, he's gonna fight the main characters when they're more powerful, that type of shit. So he is gonna be an exciting character, but the reason, other than that I'm excited for him is just he seems very intriguing in terms of his beliefs. Like he seems very unique. For example, like someone like Rempa, when he got kicked out or he got disrespected by Tojo, whatever the case was, it wasn't so much as like, oh, you dare to disrespect me, or like you're such a piece of shit that I can't work for you. Like he cared so much about war that wasn't really a pressing issue to him. It's just that Tojo wouldn't let him war. While with Shibasho, it seems like he has some like deep grudge, or he has like some deep philosophical belief that fighting alongside Zhao is just not morally right, which is interesting because obviously Zhao has a lot of, innocent people, and even if you don't have to agree with Tojo, you can still feel like I should defend my countrymen. So there's like an interesting moral dilemma
Mm.
there, but he's apparently completely selfish. He just wants to protect the city, and I think that's something that Hara is gonna give attention to. Like, for example, there's a lot of characters that if Riboku asks you to help him out, they're just gonna be like, oh yeah, Riboku asked me, of course I am. But I don't feel like that's gonna be the case with Shibasho. I feel like Riboku either has to convince him to help, or maybe we skip past that, but then it goes to a flashback. Like it's not just gonna be like something like Riboku comes to him and then he's like, "Yo, just help me out, bro." And Shibasho's like, "Yeah, okay, so, you're Riboku, I'll help you out." Like it has to be a grand moment, and I feel like regarding Shibasho's character with the way he's been built up, a lot of things are gonna be grand, so to say. Like I said, like it's gonna need convincing, and then we're probably
Mm.
gonna get some, maybe not super in depth, but fairly in depth view on his morality, that type of shit. And yeah, I just find he's an interesting case. He's probably pretty unique in that sense. And I just want to see more of him on top of, he's going to be a monster. So we'll just see what's up with him. He also has like a unique design. Like everything about him says that he's going to be an important character and an interesting one.
Yeah, feeling Shiba Show is going to be one of the better, like the one of the more fleshed out Zao characters.
For
Because
sure,
like
yeah.
we were saying for like the chapter review, most of the Zao generals, you know what I'm saying, for the most part, they're like one time, like they use for this arc, and we rarely ever see them again, with a few exceptions, like what was it? Was Rihaku, like he's been a reoccurring general, even though we haven't seen him for a little bit, and there's a few others, but most Zao generals are just one time things.
And even if they're
For
reoccurring,
me,
they're
Shiba
the
Show
type
is,
of Riboku-sama type niggas, That's not Shiba Show.
yeah, right, and that's what I was about to agree with you in the sense that like I feel like like you said before, you it won't be.
It won't be easy. It won't be trivial.
Yeah, right. It won't be just like, oh, yo, help me. Like the most trivial thing I can see is like, yo, if you don't come, then soon your country will be destroyed too. I mean, like your little town will be destroyed too, or it'll be taken over by Quinn, unless he's saying something like he really wouldn't care.
Mm-hmm. And also,
You know what I'm saying? Like,
something I want to add is like, even if that is the case, I feel like there's still be some interesting moral dilemma because I feel like Riboku respects Shibasho, and like the fact that Shibasho he lets Riboku in the city, he also respects Riboku. So even though they don't see eye to eye, they're still both honorable in their own ways and they respect each other. So I'd like to see how their philosophies bounce off each other.
yeah, that's a fact.
But
But for me, my number three is weirdly enough Real Fui, and
interesting.
that's only because like Hara has diverged from their true history in the sense that Real Fui, like in the real history, he dies, like just completely dies. But um in Kingdom, you know what I'm saying? Like he faked his death and he's out there in the world somehow. So I do feel like as say in them like etch out each state like okay we conquer Han and we conquer Wei. I feel like we'll get an update on Real Fui, and I'm interested to see like how his viewpoint on Say's answer will change as like he sees the you know what I'm saying like he sees how Say is actually going about his answer.
So let me also ask you this: do you think Sei is gonna change at all? Like he might become more brutal, like it was hinted at in history, or not hinted at, but just straight up said. Like we all know, the Sei from history is very different from the Sei from Kingdom, and also with the way
Um
Hara writes, like he wants Sei to be the good guy. It seems. So do you think that will play
yeah.
into it?
um like for the Kingdom story, no, I don't think Say will turn into that like crazy tyrant that he was in real history.
Well, I'm talking about
But
like
at the
a toned
same
down version.
no, but like I was about to say, at the same time, I can see like those type of roles being passed on to the generals. So it's like even though Say fundamentally won't change, people like Konki, people like Osen, Uhon, they might do certain things that will you know what I'm saying that will cause them to like it will be seen as an atrocity. You know what I'm saying? Like it might not be under Say's orders, but given the fact that they all have the right to do whatever they want, type shit, they might commit an act that might be seen as like create like something like the Chohei incident, but maybe not to that extreme, and that might like besmirch Shay's like legacy or whatever. But overall, I don't see Say himself doing anything too crazy.
That's fair. And I'm gonna ask you: is there any like plot line in specific that you have in mind? Like, you don't have to have one because it can be kind of hard to come up with one. But just the way I see it is that
Mhm.
everything between Rio Fui and Sei, like all their thoughts, it's pretty much concluded. Like Rio Fui, he went in depth about how you're like a monster for doing this. Like you're gonna be committing atrocities. Only the winners get to enjoy like the peace of unification. Like you're technically gonna like create a huge bloodbath. And then he realized how Sei knows that, and then he's still like super forthright about his decision making, and he has his own like justifiable quote unquote reasons. Like I feel like that was pretty much tied up with a nice bow, don't you think?
I feel like that like at first I thought it was, but after the conversation they had right before he faked his death, where it was like, you know, my answer won't be completely wrong until your answer won't be proven right until you know what I'm saying my answer is completely wrong or like until you unify. So that's why I feel like kind of like how we get the updates for like the kid like the generals, like you know what I'm saying, like after Osen does this, we expect Karine and Gahome to have like just a snippet of you know what I'm saying, like just commenting on the battlefield. I feel like once we conquer our first state, wherever Ryufui's hiding, he's gonna have a comment about you know what I'm saying? He's gonna be like, all right, say like you're finally moving, you know what I'm saying? You're finally on the first step to your path. Like how much bloodshed did it take to get there? Like you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like each step we take towards conquering another a nation, Ryufui is gonna have some type of I don't know, he's just gonna have some type of comments until like everything is said and done. And then I feel like him and Say will have one more meeting together.
Interesting. You know, it's funny because that last meeting between them, it actually made me feel the opposite because he kind of like he thought so much about their first meeting, and like the more he thought about it, the more he thought he was right. But at the same time, he realized that say he has like a well thought out answer at the same time. and he's just so behind his decision making, like he's so committed to it that it seemed like Ryofui, he definitely had a lot more respect for say at the end. So just the fact that he's a lot more at peace with it, he's like willing to accept what happened to the point where he's even willing to help say, like I don't know, I feel like that's a good conclusion to their character dynamic. But
I mean, it was a nice conclusion, but I feel like for a character like Real Fui, if you weren't just gonna kill him off, it'd be no point in just have it like for Hara to do that. You know what I'm saying? For Hara to illustrate that he faked his death, which is not what happened in the real history. To me, at least, just says like, "Yo, he's gonna come back."
hmm,
You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know for what exact purpose, but he will come back just to be in. Like he's too much of a character. He's too big of a character.
I could see that. To me, I just think the point of not like outright killing him was just it's just a real Fui thing. Like, of course he gets to escape and like live with some bitches. Like, of course, even after all the evil shit he's done, he still gets a somewhat happy ending because he's real Fui. And what you gonna do about it? You mad? Like that type of shit. But yeah,
I
I
mean,
feel you.
yeah. I feel like that. Yeah, I feel like that's not enough though.
I feel like because we've gone so much leading up to that, and then what I said before with like how it concluded with like his thoughts on say, I feel like overall that's enough for me. But I wouldn't be opposed to getting more real Fui.
No one is opposed to more Real Fui.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, so my number two. Let me
Mhm.
actually fucking remember to do timestamps this time. It's Gaimo. So this is kind of like
Wait, the Way Fire Dragon?
yeah, Gaimo.
Okay.
This is kind of like a mix between Gaimo and Shin because yeah, it's important to both characters, and I'm not really sure whose development on this I'm more excited for, but since Gaimo is like a necessary piece for this, like it's been built up that way, I figured I might as well say Gaimo instead of Shin, and you might have Shin too, so let me just have like a different answer with Gaimo. And it's just the fact
Mhm.
that like Oki and Renpa's and a lot of other generals really, their idea of war, like this romanticization of it, where it's like honorable, even though like you're doing all these fucked up things, it's really honorable, and like they care about it so much to the point where they won't even duel someone like Gaimo, even though they love the violence, because they just like a contest of wills, like seeing who has like something more like worthy of caring for, that it like really brings out their full willpower, like who's like the greater man in a sense. I feel like that's a really interesting theme, and
Right.
so, like that being attributed to Shin as well, I feel like that's very good for his character, and that also like boosts Renpa and Oki's characters more because we get to go more in depth on that philosophy. So it's just something I've like one of the themes I'm most interested in the series, and I really like Shin. So seeing him get that as well would be cool, and then seeing how someone like Gaimo would react to
See,
that, seeing an argument between them. Go ahead.
you kind of breaking up for me.
I was just saying, like, seeing Shin getting that would be cool, and then seeing how Shin would try to convince Gaimo, or like how Gaimo would realize it. I feel like there could be interesting character dynamics there.
See, it's funny to me because I never once picked Gaimo as an interesting character because like I felt like that was like the basis of his character. He was just a meathead who loved to fight. You know what I'm saying? And that was it. It was like it was all about the fighting. He had nothing else going for him. So like I guess the most interesting part could be him just coming to terms. Like I mean, I guess he's already come to terms with it, but it's like
Well, he still doesn't really believe it's the case. He thinks they're just lying to himself, and I feel like that idea, like it implies some moral complexity, where like he's willing to understand their point of view, but he feels like they're just lying to themselves, and it's like kind of hypocritical in a way. It's kind of like the Rio Fu and Kanki thing, where it's like you want to unify China, and you're like painting yourself as the good guy, but you're really just an evil piece of shit, and you're like trying to justify your actions. Like I feel like him coming to that conclusion implies some moral complexity, and I'd like to see how someone that's like so steadfast in their beliefs, like he feels like he's 100% right. I would like to see how he would change his mind.
that's what I'm saying. I don't think he ever will. I feel like he's the type of character that he will die before he admits that he's wrong. You know what I'm saying? He'll probably admit that he's wrong, like Hoken did, like on his dying breath. Like, oh, maybe my path wasn't the right. Like as Shin is cutting him down, but he's lived his whole life, his whole battle career. even against Oki and Renpa and them, he's lived this way. So I don't think like he'll hear like he's interested in Shin's answer. Don't get me wrong, because like that was the whole like conclusion to their fight. Like I'll be here to hear your answer, but I still think he's gonna reject Shin's answer at the end and just die. Like I don't know. Like Gaimo isn't the I don't know. To me, he just wasn't that type of character.
I
But I
guess
could
we,
be wrong.
yeah, I guess we disagree on that. We'll see. And also, just his personality is very entertaining. Like if it was like someone that had that plot line going for them, but they didn't have Gaimo's personality, I wouldn't necessarily be as interested. He's just a very entertaining character.
True. So for my number two is actually Raboku. Like I want to know, I want to know why in this era where it's very common for talented people to, you know what I'm saying, just jump states and just go leave and work for another kingdom, why Raboku chose to live and work under this piece of shit king. You know what I'm saying? Like it couldn't have just been Ka. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think Ka was like I think Ka was a good reason, but I don't think Ka was the only reason why Raboku stayed his entire career in Zhao. Like
Yeah,
I feel like there has to be more to it, and I'm highly interested in that because to me it just seems like Raboku. Not for nothing, it seems like Raboku just wasted his life in Zhao.
kind of. Yeah.
Like you know what I'm saying? Like he's great, and but he could be so much greater if he just worked for a king or a kingdom that wasn't completely scumbags. You know what I'm saying? Like if Raboku, not for nothing, if Raboku was working for the Key King, you know what I'm saying? I don't think like I think Raboku would be even more of a beast. You know what I'm saying? Like if he had like you know what I'm saying, like his loyal vassals or whatever, they went to him to like Key or they went to Chu or whatever, like I don't see the purpose in him staying in Zhao, so I really want that fleshed out.
Yeah, I think part of it is Ka. I think part of it is that Zhao will like, from what it seems like, they'll never get in a position where they're actually going to meaningfully take a lot of land. They're never going to be in a situation where Tojo's ever going to be like, well, Tojo's dead now, but let's conquer China. You know, for Qin or Chu, if he joined them, it's kind of putting him in a hard situation where if he like doesn't obey orders, they might execute him or something, and they're gonna be like, all right, we're gonna use your strength, like we're gonna conquer all these lands, and then he's gonna be responsible for the type of bloodshed that he doesn't want to be responsible for. I don't think that's all of it, but that's part of it. I feel like at the core of it, he's someone that ever since an early age he was. I don't know if he was forced to, but he decided to go out into the front lines and protect his like country pretty much. And that's the type of thing where if you do that from an early age, I guess you're just influenced by the people around you. Like everyone's being heroic and you want to also protect your country. Like it's interesting because something like having pride for the place you were born in and like wanting to stick with it till the very end, like that's something that obviously a lot of humans have. And you don't really have to have like some deep justification for it. Like if you ask a real person like why they feel so indebted to their hometown or their home country or whatever, like they'll just have like they'll be super loyal to it, and they'll just be like, it's my hometown, it's my place, this is where I'm born from, like shit like that. Like you can go very basic with it if you want, but you also can go more in depth. And I feel like we've seen Riboku's like appreciation for certain things. Like when he went to Sai, like he made sure to talk about how much respect he has for the Sai citizens being willing to put their lives on the line, shit like that. So I feel like since he was a kid and he like witnessed the horrors of war and he's seen how these like average people, they're all willing to put their lives on the line for Zhao, like that really touched him. And he's like, he knows how skilled he is, so he could do what they want to do, but they're not skilled enough to do. So he's kind of like avenging them or like carrying on their wills in a way. That's how I see it, which I think is intriguing characterization.
I think it's admirable if that like if that's what it turns out to be, then that's cool. That's admirable, but I still would like that more fleshed out because now it just, like I said, it just seems stupid. It truly just seems like yo, you are just wasting all of your time here, and for what? Like, because the people, because some of the people are good people. Like, nah, it don't seem like that's enough.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, I mean, you could say that about any state, and you can use that as justification to defend any state. But I don't know. I guess if I were to like say like if I were to come up with a definitive conclusion to counter that, it's just everyone's flawed and that's just his people. So he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna defend my people type of shit. But yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see
All
where it
right.
goes. Like you could go more in depth with it, but yeah, I could see
I
why
hope
you go
Kara
there.
does. I
Mm-hmm.
hope Kara does. So yeah, who's your number one?
Mo bitches himself, of course.
I
What
figured.
could have been
Yeah,
anyone
nah.
else.
I figured. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
I
there's so
mean,
many interesting dynamics you can have with Mobu. At this point, people think he's kind of bland, which I can understand. He doesn't show much emotion, and he doesn't really have a lot of character dynamics that go super in depth. But I do think there's a lot of potential for him versus Manu. Like someone that's so different from him, like Manu, who's like such a weirdo, and he has these like very like opposing viewpoints. The fact that like Hara made sure that Mobu he goes there and like listens to Manu's backstory. That has to be important. So I feel like there could be some interesting thing there with I don't know, maybe he feels for him, he sympathizes with him, and
hmm
he kind of like does the whole 10 like we'll carry your will, we'll technically make it okay because we're going to unify China. And so that'll make it so some of your problems are like some of the things that you were worrying about, like the top is always going to be pieces of shit and there's always going to be warfare, that type of shit. You can
hmm
kind of you can kind of say unification fixes that. You can at least make the argument for it. So I feel like there can be an interesting conclusion to their second duel, and like seeing someone like Mobu showing a lot of sympathy for someone else, especially when it's like very warranted, it could be good for his character. There's him and Shoheika, in which I don't want to get too far into history spoilers, but I'm gonna just say it's interesting. And I, other than that, I do want to see why they're such good friends and like how deep does their bond go? What's their dynamic like? Want to see more of that, and then shit like Moten, Moki, Shin. There's a lot of dynamics that you can go in depth with Mobu, and he does seem to be one of the more important characters in the story. So
That is true.
I do feel like there's good things coming.
Nice.
So yeah, what's your number one?
Mhm. Oh, Lord Ocean. Come on now.
Oh, the Lord himself.
The Lord himself. Just like his relationship with Uhon. We talk. You know what I'm saying? His relationship with Uhon. The dynamic between him and Sei, which has yet to be even remotely fleshed out. Um, you know what I'm saying? I just he's so fucking mysterious, and he's still one of my favorite characters. So I would just like an inkling of his backstory, just an
Hmm.
inkling.
I feel like I feel like you kind of have to justify why he cares about becoming a king. I feel like it probably has to do with like the honor, like bringing that honor to your clan
The
of
old family and
yeah.
shit.
And so like cuz Ohan also has this viewpoint where it's like he has like a deep appreciation for being part of the old clan. So I feel like it falls in line for Osen to have the same thing. Unless Osen's like entire viewpoint is everyone else is stupid, so I need to be the one to rule. Which could be the
I
case. I
mean,
mean,
I was just about to say it could be like Osen's smart, everybody else dumb.
me smart, everyone else dumb. I need to rule.
Like, look, but like again, like the treatment, how he treats Uhon, the lack of caring, like you know what I'm saying, just how he like just how smart he is, like you said, his ambition to be king, all of it. It's just I want to know what makes Osen Osen.
For sure. And especially if
So
Ohan gets meaningful development, which I mean, I think most people think he's going to be like Kingdom's Vegeta. So if that's the case, then of course you would have to go into his dynamic with Osen if you care that much about Ohan's character to give him that type of development. So it should be
yeah, I mean,
interesting.
I feel like he has to be Kingdom's. I say yeah, he has to be Kingdom's Vegeta. Like it's not Moten.
Yeah,
Moten, for as much as we love him, he's the Piccolo. Like he's the nice guy, a rival, but not really. You know what I'm saying? Like Moten's so chill that like I feel like if Moten was passed up for general, like not general, but like just um like great general, like I feel like he wouldn't mind that much, as opposed to what I'm saying, as opposed to like that stuff.
you kind of cut out.
I was saying that like I don't think Moten would be as mad for being passed up for a great general as Uhon and Shen would.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely agree with that. But yeah, I mean, Olsen's the GOAT. I think everyone, well, not everyone. I know a lot of people just kind of see him as bland, and they don't care about him. But a lot of people fuck with Olsen. So it would be really cool if we got to learn more about the man. It would like kind of take down some of the mystique, but at this point we've had enough of the mystique. It's been going on for a while, and it's mainly been to like help with the tone, the tension, the plot, that type of shit. And it's been cool so far, but eventually, yeah, we do gotta get some in depth like knowledge on who he is. But yeah, overall, also
Hmm.
if he ends up being like a final antagonist type of shit, then yeah, for sure Olsen is on that list, which is
Yeah.
possible. But yeah, it's a nice little short discussion. Went on for about like 25 minutes. I might do another one with Draco later today, but yeah, this is cool. Maybe we should have done a top five because Draco wasn't here. We were planning for him to be here originally, but fuck it. It is what it is. Some honorable mentions: Ohan, Shin, maybe Kyokai. Uh,
Karen.
yeah,
Like I ain't
maybe
gonna hold you. If
Karin.
we was doing a top five, Karen would have been like my number four. And like really quick, my number five. Like if we was doing a top five, my number four would have been Karen, and my number five would have been what's this dude's name? Shit. Damn it! I had his name Toe.
That toe guy, whoever he
Yeah,
is.
that's fuck you. We don't know enough about Toe. Like Toe is the only dude in Kingdom that looks like he's a Frenchman in a Chinese era style. You're saying in a Chinese style manga, he's looking like he's a whole Englishman.
Before,
And
go ahead.
we like we don't know when he like they say he was the first one to join Oki, but like when we saw the flashback with Ko, he wasn't like I didn't see him. You know what I'm saying? Like when did he join Oki? Why was he so loyal to Oki? I just want to know these things.
Facts, facts. I agree. But before I end this, let me just ask you about the Karin thing. Why Karin?
I feel like she's the only person from Chu that's actually that we've seen so far that's actually threatening.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like in terms of like just like military status, we have yet to see her use all like fucking 300,000 of her personal army. In terms of like her backstory with her brother and things like that, and like why like how she fucking ravaging the southern realm, like the southern parts of Chu, looking for a brother. I want to know all about that.
Yeah, to me, like just the vibe I get is her gag is just a tad bit too wacky for me to really see her as a character that's gonna get like a lot of focus on her character. I feel like she is kind of that, not necessarily just complete gag character because she does have the whole like brother situation, and we'll see where that goes.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the premise of that doesn't really sound super interesting to me personally.
Because the thing is, like, I think, like, me personally, I'm not sure if the brother she was looking for is the brother that's there with her now.
Because
You know what I'm
I
saying?
think we talked about this before. Because like she still seemed triggered when the guy brought it up, right? So I feel like it's
right. She still seemed triggered by it. So it seemed like she had two brothers and she only found one.
yeah. But I don't know.
So I like, yeah.
We'll see where that goes. It's just Karin doesn't really, she doesn't really come up when I think about characters that I think are gonna get some intriguing development. But we'll see. I guess we shall see.
We shall.
But with that, I'll end it there. Peace.
Later.